everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. My name is Samantha Genzer. I'm going to be your show host for you today. We have a very exciting episode for you guys. We are going to be covering the recent NWSL games, predictions on the College Softball World Series, the Asian Gymnastics Championships, the Women's Track and Field Prefontaine results, and make sure you stay till the end to hear about the North America West Region CrossFit Semifinal results. Before we begin, I wanted to ask you guys to like and follow the show, and to become a part of our show, to tip and donate using the link gsmcpodcast.net. Also, we do get a lot of questions that come in from viewers during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the link gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I see them, and of course, it really does help the show, and we really do appreciate it. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. Now, let's get started. I hope you guys enjoy today's content. Okay, we're going to be starting off today's episode by talking about the recent NWSL game, National Women's Soccer League. So, we're going to talk about the games from May 17th to May 25th. So, those games all include the North Carolina Courage v. Utah Royals, Houston Dash v. Portland Thorns, the KC Current v. Racing Louisville, the Seattle Reign v. Orlando Pride, the Bay FC v. San Diego Wave, Washington Spirit v. Angel City, Gotham v. Chicago Red Stars, Angel City v. San Diego Wave, the Washington Spirit v. Seattle Reign, the Bay FC v. Gotham, the Utah Royals v. KC Current, the Orlando Pride v. Portland Reigns, the Houston Dash v. North Carolina Courage, and the Chicago Red Stars v. Racing Louisiana. So, if you heard any of those games that you were interested in hearing about, we're going to be talking about all of those on here today. I'm excited to get started. So, to start, we're going to obviously talk about May 17th's games to start. The North Carolina Courage beat the Utah Royals 1-0. The Courage scored their goal in the second half by Kaylee Kurtz, assisted by Brianna Pinto. Kurtz is 28 years old and has been playing on this team since 2018. She did not score any goals in 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2023, and 2020 was excluded because that was during COVID, so not a normal season. We don't need to get into that. She did score 3 goals in 2022. She plays center back, so I think it's impressive that she ended up scoring, because you don't typically hear defensive centers scoring as often. The way the goal happened was particularly epic, I'll say. Ashley Sanchez, number 2, crossed the ball way across the field, and then Pinto followed up with it and missed the goal. I'm not sure if it was on purpose or to cross it, and then Kurtz passed it right through the net when the goalkeeper was completely out of position. The Courage did pretty much dominate the game. They had 20 shots total, with 6 of those actually being in target of the goal. And they also had 63% of possession of the ball and just more accurate passes in general. So they did pretty much dominate the entire game. Next game is the Portland Thorns v. Houston Dash, which ended in a 2-0 win for the Portland Thorns. The Portland Thorns really dominated with 22 attempted shots total and 10 that were actually on target. But still, the Houston Dash did pretty good keeping up, as they had 12 attempted shots in total. Both goals were scored in the second half by Anna Diaz and Olivia Moultrie. Diaz is a forward and Moultrie is a midfielder who has already scored 3 goals this season. She is a really dominant player for the Portland Thorns, and she has been a good scorer for the team since 2022. Next game, we have a tie with the Kansas City Current and Racing Louisville, with a final score of 3-3. This was an interesting game since it was a pretty high-scoring game. The possession throughout the game was pretty 50-50, and both of the passing accuracy was about the same. So these two teams matched very evenly, pretty much. Defender Gabriella Robinson and midfielder Savannah DeMello scored 2 goals for Louisville. Defender Style Balansager Pedersen of KC Current scored her goal for her own team. Obviously, it was an accident, but whenever that happens, I always get secondhand embarrassment, and I just feel so bad for the player because of the guilt you must have. Anyway, we're going to talk about some other games where own goals did unfortunately happen. Midfielder Michelle Cooper, midfielder Lou Labonta, and midfielder Emma Sears scored the 3 goals for KC Current. The Seattle Reign FC and Orlando Pride went head-to-head that same day, and the final score was 3-2 with Orlando Pride winning. Possession of the ball was pretty 50-50, so really, I guess it could have gone either way. But as we know, Orlando Pride has been on top. They have been winning all of their games, so it's not a shocker that they won another one. And I mean, if you're rooting for Orlando Pride, I'm sure you're very happy to see that they have this huge winning streak right now. But Seattle Reign got more shots on goal, so it seems like they would have gotten a better chance to win, but the Pride defense and goalkeeper were outstanding throughout the game. Emily Sam scored the first goal for the Pride, and Barbara Banda, who is one of the highest goal scorers in Olympic history, scored the other 2 goals for the Pride. Bethany Balser and Harrod James Turner each scored a goal for the Seattle Reign. Having Banda on the Pride team is a huge threat to any competitor. She is so skilled, speedy, and a great shooter, and she really is the powerhouse superstar soccer player on the Pride team. Of course, I'm not saying that she's the star on the team as of right now, looking at the amount of goals that she's scored, but of course there are a bunch of other players on the Pride team who are super good and dominating as well. Next game we're going to talk about is the Bay FC v San Diego Wave, where the final score was 2-1 with the Bay winning. The Bay only had 6 shots in total, whereas the Wave had a total of 15. That's a huge difference. Yet the Bay was able to come out on top, but the reason that they ended up winning is because San Diego defender Hannah Ludkvist scored a goal for the opposing team, and then Scarlett Canberra scored a goal for her team for the Bay. The first goal of the game was from the San Diego Wave by Kira Carusa, so they did take the lead in the beginning, but then they got the game tied, and then their defense kind of fell a bit flat, I'll say. The Washington Spirit and Angel City FC went head-to-head with the Washington Spirit, coming on top 4-2. This game was super intense because it was a high-scoring game. When the game kicked off, Trinity Rodman scored a goal for the Spirit. Then Anya Boutel, who is a defender for the Spirit, scored a goal for the Angel City, so that was not great. Then Sydney Leroux scored a goal for Angel City. Afterwards, the Spirit scored 3 more goals in a row. Another one by Trinity Rodman, one from Casey Kruger, and one from Ulemata Sar. So the Angel City seemed to be dominating after the Spirit's first goal, with one of their defenders scoring for the opposing team. But then the Spirit really came back with 3 goals leading to their victory. On Sunday, May 19th, Gotham v Chicago Red Stars went... Ooh. Oh my goodness, that was so weird. I'm so sorry, guys. Technical difficulties right there. Okay, we are talking about Gotham v... Uh-oh. Oh no. Guys, I'm so sorry. Give it a solid... There we go. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. We're going to talk about Gotham v Chicago Red Stars. They played against each other with a final score of 2-1. Gotham won the game. Lynn Williams and Ella Stevens scored the goals for Gotham, and on the other side, Penelope Hawkins scored the 1 goal for the Chicago Red Stars. Gotham just had more dominance on the field. They had more shots attempted and had more possession throughout the game, so it's not a shocker that they did end up coming on top. They just kind of had that more look of strength as a team compared to their opponents, the Red Stars. On Thursday, May 23rd, there was another game where Angel City and San Diego Wave went head-to... Okay, Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. I think there is... Okay, wait. Guys, I'm so sorry. There is some out of order here. Okay, there we go. Angel City and San Diego Wave went head-to-head. Sorry, guys, about this. Pictures not being in order, and there's some technical difficulties. Anyway, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're just going to move past it. So, Angel City v San Diego Wave. It was a pretty uneventful game, considering that the score ended up in a tie 0-0, which is really unfortunate for both teams. Both teams had a pretty good amount of shots attempted, which is not good that they were both unable to score, but also good for their teams for having good defense, if you think about it. Angel City had a total of 11 shots attempted, while the Wave had a total of 15 shots attempted. Both teams were pretty heavy with fouls. Also, Angel City had 9 fouls, and San Diego Wave had 12 fouls. It was a pretty evenly matched game, and it was almost 50-50 in possession throughout the game. It really could have gone either way. It was an even matched game, but it does kind of stink that it ended in a 0-0 tie. Okay, Now, let's talk about the Orlando Pride v Portland Thorns game, which was one of the most exciting games in the past week. The game had a final score of 2-1 with the Pride winning. That didn't come as a shock to me. I feel like the Orlando Pride had been pretty dominant and been doing very well in past games, obviously, and it made sense that they came out on top. Barbara Banda scored both the goals for the Pride, so she really has been their superpower. Izzy De Aquila scored the goal for the Portland Thorns, but it just wasn't enough. Banda has been really impressing me this season, and having her score both of those goals obviously gave them a huge boost as a team. The Washington Spirit and Seattle Reign went head-to-head with a final score, a very high-scoring game, final score of 3-2. The Spirit had a total of 3 goals, and the Seattle Reign had a total of 2 goals. Corey Bethune, Andy Sullivan, and Ulimata Sarr scored the 3 goals for the Spirit. Sarr scored a goal during the previous Spirit game, so she has been doing very well for the team, obviously. Veronica Lasco and Emery Adame scored both the goals for Seattle Reign. The Houston Dash and North Carolina Courage went against each other that same day, and the Houston Dash dominated, winning the game 3-0. Ramona Bachman, Barbara Oliveira, and Deanna Ordonez scored the 3 goals. The North Carolina Courage still had some shots on goals, but they just weren't successful. The last game on May 24th was Bay v Gotham, where Gotham won 2-0. Ella Stevens scored both the goals, and in the last game by Gotham, she also scored a goal. So Stevens has really been a star player for the team, just like Banda being the star scorer for the Pride. Stevens is being sort of the star goal scorer for the Gotham. Both teams, I felt like in this game, were pretty evenly matched. Like it was pretty 50-50 for possession throughout the game, yet the Bay was just not successful. We have 2 more games to talk about. Both took place on May 25th. Racing Louisville beat the Chicago Red Stars 1-0. Emma Sears scored the goal for Louisville, and she scored the goal last game, so she has been a star on the team as well. Louisville got 21 shots attempted, and they only scored 1 goal, so that percentage is obviously not great. But still, they won the game, and at the end of the day, that's the main thing that matters. I always critique little small things, about percentage-wise, a ratio of how many you got in versus how many, how many shots attempted versus how much you actually got on target and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's if you won, you won. That's good. Okay, the last game we're going to talk about is the Utah Royals playing against the KC Current, and the KC Current came out on top 1-0. Elizabeth Ball scored the goal for the Current. This game actually kind of shocked me for how close the game was, because the KC Current is ranked 2nd in the league, and the Utah Royals is ranked last and number 14th in the league. I feel like the KC Current should have had more of an opportunity to dominate the game. I think this is a good sign for the Utah Royals, though. They have lost all their games so far this season, and maybe this not too bad of a loss is a good sign that they could step up their game. Still, KC Current did win, but I just felt like they should have gotten more shots on target and more goals attempted in general. So we're now going to move on to our next segment, where we're going to talk about the College Softball World Series predictions. Before we start, we are going to be taking a very short break, so I will see you guys very soon.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done recapping the recent NWSL games from May 17th to May 25th, and now we are going to switch over to talking about softball, where we're going to do some predictions for the College Softball World Series that are coming up. The Softball World Series will take place May 30th to June 7th. Before we get into some predictions, though, I wanted to remind you guys to like and follow our show and to become a part of our show to tip and donate using the link gsmcpodcast.net. This also puts your questions and comments at the top of the list so that I see them and they get read on the air. We do really appreciate all the support we get from you guys, and it really does help the show altogether. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start talking about softball. I love talking about softball, so I'm very excited to get into this, I'll be honest. There are 8 teams in the World Series. The 8 teams are UT Austin, the University of Oklahoma, the University of Florida, Oklahoma State University, UCLA, Stanford University, Duke University, and the University of Alabama. Now you're probably thinking, where's Tennessee? And that's what I'm saying is the most shocking part of the 8 teams that are going to the World Series. Like, where is Tennessee? I was shocked to see how that all played out. We're going to get into that right this second. So let's talk about how these teams got to the World Series. The UT Austin Longhorns pulled out Game 3 of their Super Regional Series against rival Texas A&M on Sunday and did most of their work in that series late in games, scoring 16 of their 20 runs in the 6th inning or later. The teams combined for a Super Regional record of 39 runs. The University of Oklahoma had a 2-0 series win over Florida State University, and now this is their 12th time making an appearance in the World Series. For the University of Florida, catcher Jocelyn Erickson tied the single-season RBI record with a sacrifice fly to right field for a 1-0 lead in the first inning. They won Game 3 at home over Baylor University, and now this is their 12th World Series appearance also. Oklahoma State University advanced in dominant fashion over Arizona, sweeping the series by a combined score of 18-4. And then the UCLA Bruins routed number 11 Georgia by a combined 14-1 margin, which is how they got to the World Series. Stanford University outlasted LSU with back-to-back shutouts after losing the opening game. They scored 7 runs in the 5th inning of Game 3 to pull away for an 8-0 win. Duke University went on the road to upset number 7 Missouri and advanced to the World Series for the first time in program history. Duke won the game 4-3 on Sunday in 9 innings. The Alabama Crimson Tide took the most unlikely path to the World Series by upsetting number 3 Tennessee. Now this is when it gets interesting, guys. This series featured the longest game in Super Regional history on Saturday with 14 innings. And Alabama followed that up with a 4-1 win on Sunday with 4 first-inning runs. Guys, it was pretty insane. I will say I am not shocked to see any of these teams on this list. I am shocked to see certain teams not on this list, like Tennessee, also LSU. I don't know why, I just really felt like they were going to be on there. But I'm really happy to see Duke on here because this is their first time making an appearance at the World Series. So let's just talk about the schedule for the World Series. So on Thursday, Alabama and UCLA will go head-to-head. Game 2 is Duke v. Oklahoma. Game 3 is Texas v. Stanford. Game 4 is Oklahoma State v. Florida. On Friday, it will be the loser 1 game versus loser game 2, and then loser game 3 v. loser game 4. And then on Saturday, 2 June 3rd games are TBD. Now, let's get into some predictions. Let's start off with some top performers, like who I think is going to be a top performer. Okay, so I'm predicting that Tyra Jennings, Reese Atwood, and Nigeri Kennedy are going to be some of the top performers. Jennings plays for the University of Oklahoma and has always been a star on the team. Last year, she was the NFC First Team All-American on the World Series All-Tournament team, was awarded USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year Top 10 finalist on the NFCA All-Central Region First Team, and on the All-Big 12 First Team, and on the All-Big 12 Softball Championship All-Tournament team. She has always been a strong player, and without a doubt, I think she's going to stand on the World Series. She's so good, and playing shortstop this season after 3 years at second base. she has been doing very well in that position, and I'm excited to see if she continues playing in that position at the World Series. Reese Atwood is on the UT Austin team. All in 2023, she was on the All Big 12 Conference Freshman team, All Big Conference Second team, Big 12 Conference Player of the Week, and then she became the first student athlete in program history with a walk-off hit in 3 consecutive games, and also set the program record with at least 1 RBI in 8 consecutive games. The way she can string together games and pile up RBIs has been something to watch this season. She is entering the tournament with 86 RBIs and 22 home runs, and when she gets on a streak, her at-bats are a must-watch. And then I also think Najeri Kennedy from Stanford is going to be a top player. All in 2023, she was the NFCA Freshman of the Year, D1 Softball Freshman of the Year, Softball America NCAA Freshman of the Year, D1 Softball Freshman All-American, USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year, top 25 finalist, and was on the College Series All-Tournament team. So she already has that experience of going to the World Series. She knows the competition is going to be tough. She's a super strong pitcher and just an amazing pitcher for Stanford in general. I feel like it goes without saying that she's going to be a top player in the World Series. Now, we got to talk about who I think is going to be the dark horse team. Alabama could be the dark horse team of the tournament. Traditionally strong in softball, Alabama might leverage their lower seeding to fly under the radar and surprise higher seeded teams. They literally beat Tennessee, which was a huge victory for the team, and also was a complete surprise to every softball watcher out there. I really thought Tennessee was going to crush them because just looking at the rankings, Alabama is number 14 and Tennessee is number 3. You would not expect Alabama to come out on top, and I think this shows their potential and strength. I think they're going to surprise some teams, and I'm rooting for them because they're sort of the underdogs in this tournament. I also am rooting for Duke. This is the first time they made an appearance at the World Series, and this is huge for them, for their program history. I don't have much confidence that they're going to come out on top of the tournament. That sounds so mean when I say that. I just don't think they're going to come out as number 1, is what I'm saying. But I think that they have a big chance of possibly finishing 3rd. I'm hoping that maybe they come out and surprise the higher ranked teams. I think, or maybe even have close games with the higher ranked teams. I think if UCLA and Duke went head to head, it would be a really interesting game. Kind of a random thought there, but I wish that they kind of were going head to head because that would probably be the best game of the World Series to watch just because of their sort of rivalry in softball and how close their rankings and, reputation are. Okay, now the next prediction, which newcomer will have the biggest impact. UCLA freshman left-handed pitcher Caitlin Terry has been really impressing me. She can hit the ball with power from the left side as well as pitch with a good amount of strength and velocity. UCLA has a pretty young pitching staff, so I feel like the Bruins might need to use Terry a significant amount in the World Series. And then I also think that UT Austin freshman pitcher Tegan Cavan will have another big impact on the team. Coach Mike White seems to have an eye for young talent, and Cavan was a strikeout machine in the fall ball games. She struck out 15 of the 29 batters she faced. I'm looking forward to seeing her pitch if she ends up pitching in the World Series. Now, the last prediction I have is probably the most important one, who I think is going to win the entire World Series. I don't have a solid one team that I am set, like this team is definitely going to win. I am in between 2 teams. I think the winners are either going to be UT Austin or the University of Oklahoma. I know that is probably the most basic answer I could give, but I do have a lot of confidence in both of these teams. Oklahoma has the talent to win it all again, but it will come down to the Sooners staying unified. One bad attitude, one selfish mentality that can recruit others into, a pity party about playing time, all of that drama can hurt a team and prevent the 4-year sweep. Everyone gives their best game to number 1, and it can be hard to stay focused all season long. However, a talented team that plays for each other can drown out the noise and be next to impossible to beat. The Sooners just need to stay hungry, really. Coach Patty Gasso has her team trained in what they call the, quote, championship mindset. And from day 1, when that squad gets together, they are thinking of nothing other than the national championship. The key this year will be if they can handle the pressure. I believe that they can, as they have in the past. And it's really about the pressure because this would be their 4th consecutive win if they do end up winning it. The offensive lineup is stacked with talents like Jada Coleman, Kinsey Hansen, Alyssa Brito, and Tiara Jennings. They have pitchers who complement each other in the circle, both righties and lefties. This is a team full of players who know how to win big ball games. That experience goes a long way in the World Series. Also, more specifically, their senior class knows how to win, how to lead, what it takes, and knows nothing other than winning a national championship. And their pitching coach, Jennifer Rocha, seems to always find a way to get the best out of their pitchers, both mentally and physically. I of course, have a lot of confidence in the University of Oklahoma, just based on their history, too. They won the last 3 ones, like why wouldn't they win the 4th? I feel like UT Austin has been doing well this season, and they have a really strong chance of also winning. And they're pretty dominating as a team. They are 46-0 this season, and they have been doing really well in the super regionals, especially against Texas A&M. They also have Reese Atwood, who tied a program record on Sunday night as the sophomore catcher, became the first Longhorn softball student athlete to be hit by 3 different pitches in the same game since Jody Reeve in 1997. As a result of the 3 hit by pitches, Reese Atwood is now 1 hit by pitch shy of tying the program single season mark set by Kelly Hansel throughout the 2015 season. Also, they have Vivian Martinez, who has a total of 18 doubles this season, which is the 4th most in the program's single season history. The team has also achieved a program best of 89 home runs this season after Mia Scott's 5th inning solo home run at the Super Regionals games. Each of their players are looking really strong, and the team is making a lot of program records, so I think this year especially they have a high chance of winning the World Series. I'm excited to see how the games go. The competition is for sure going to be tight. I have a lot of confidence in certain teams, and I really am rooting for some of the underdogs. I recommend that everyone should watch these games, and we will obviously be talking about the results of the World Series in the upcoming show, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We are now going to go into the next segment where we talk about the Asian Gymnastics Championships. Before we get into that, we are going to be taking a short break, so I will see you guys very soon.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about some college softball World Series predictions, and we're now going to switch into gymnastics, where we talk about the results of the Asian Gymnastics Championships. These championships took place on May 24th through May 26th in Uzbekistan. This championship was particularly special because it marks something important in history. So, without further ado, we're just going to get straight into it. So, what was the historical moment at this? Dipa Karmakar became the first ever Indian gymnast to win a gold medal at the Asian Championships. In the all-around, though, the top 2 athletes were from China. The 30-year-old Dipa, who was 8th with 12.65 in the qualification, scored an identical 13.566 in her 2 attempts for an overall 13.566 in the final. She was followed by 2 North Koreans, Kim Sun-hyun and Jo Keon-bol. It was Dipa's 2nd medal in the championships after her bronze in Hiroshima in 2015. It was a remarkable performance by Dipa, who struggled through injuries, 2 knee surgeries, and a 21-month suspension for a doping violation. For someone who missed out on crucial opportunities to qualify for the Paris Olympics, first due to her suspension and then due to a decision not to send the team for one of the 4 apparatus World Cups, the Asian gold was a big consolation. Dipa, who made history when she finished 4th in the 2016 Rio Olympics vault final and narrowly missed out on the medal, said, "Of course, not being able to qualify for the Olympics was disappointing, but now I want to enjoy this moment." Earlier on Friday, Dipa finished 16th in the all-around category with a score of 46.166 and unfortunately failed to secure a Paris 2024 Olympic quota for India in gymnastics. However, the vault gold adds to Dipa's already impressive list of firsts for Indian gymnastics. She is also the first Indian female gymnast to compete at the Olympics and finish a incredible 4th in women's vault at Rio 2016, the best display by any gymnast at the Summer Games to date. She also did win the women's vault gold medal at the 2018 FIG World Cup in Turkey, becoming the first Indian to ever win a gold medal at a global gymnastics event. So even though she didn't, technically qualify for the Paris Olympics, she still has made a lot of historical records and marks in history. So she should still be very satisfied with all of those accomplishments. So now we're going to talk about the top 10 finishers in this championships. I want to put out something. I'm really sorry if I am pronouncing these names incorrectly. As we know, I am very good at, mispronouncing names, and I'm really bad at remembering names too. That's a little fun fact. So names and me just do not get along, I guess. So I apologize for mispronouncing any names. So we're just gonna get right started. With first place was Wo Jia from China. She did very well in the uneven bars, finishing with a score of 13.8. In the vault, she got a score of 12.533, and on the balance beam, she finished with a score of 12.5. Her floor exercise was pretty well, but this was where she did, worse compared to her other scores. She finished with a score of 11.886 on floor, but that was still better than a lot of other competitors in the top 10. She still placed first. Obviously, that score didn't drop, her all-around score much at all. It didn't really matter in the end since she finished first. And her all-around score was 50.699. She does have that natural gymnastics build. She has this beautiful, artistic, graceful performance in the floor routine, especially, you could really tell. And I don't know, she's very beautiful to watch for performative wise. In second place was Qin Xin Yi from China. She dominated on floor with a score of 13.0, which was the highest score on floor in the top 10 finishers. She did very well on the balance beam with a score of 13.7, which was the highest score on the balance beam in the top 10 finishers by a huge margin. She was more than 1 point above on the balance beam than the first place finisher. On the uneven bar, she recorded a score of 12.133, and on the vault, she had a score of 11.733. Her all-around score was 50.566, so super close to the first place position. In third place was Emma Balabuyo from the Philippines. She did the best on floor with a score of 13.333, and then on the vault, she got a score of 13.033. Her balance beam had a score of 12.566, which was higher than most, but her uneven bars is where she didn't do so well compared to her other scores. She finished with a score of 11.466 on the uneven bars, which dropped her all-around score down a bit. Still, she did very well with a total score of 50.398, which is super close to the second and first place position, and she had third overall, which means that she qualified for the Olympics. Now, if you are like, this name is, I really recognize this name very well, it's because she actually was a gymnast at UCLA, and just 3 years ago, she traveled to Tokyo to serve as an alternate for Team USA in the Olympics. She began representing the Philippines a year ago in her quest to make the Olympic team. She almost gave up on her dream after falling short in the International Gymnastics World Cup Series. She said she cried for 3 days after the World Cup and admitted she began doubting herself. So this is such a huge accomplishment for her that she qualified for the Paris Olympics. She said after the competition, quote, "I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm speechless. I think I'm still shaking just hearing the news." And I'm like, is this real? I still can't believe it just because it's been such a long and endurance path to get here. The fourth place finisher was Ida Bauershanova from Kazakhstan, and her all-around score was also super close to the second and first place finishers. She finished with an all-around score of 50.365. Her floor exercise was her best score with a total of 13.066 points. Her vault score was her second best with a score of 12.966. And her balance beam score followed pretty close at 12.7. Her uneven bars score was where she did not do too well with a score of 11.633. So just like the third place finisher, she was lacking a bit on the uneven bars. In fifth place was Liao Yicheng from Taiwan. She had an all-around score of 49.932. Her vault score was the best with a score of 13.066, and her floor exercise was pretty close, standing at 13.0. Her uneven bars and balance beam was not her best, with scores of 11.4 and 11.766 respectively. I really admire watching her because she has those long, beautiful legs that make her this graceful, artistic-y gymnast, and I feel like I said this before in another video, but there is sometimes those two different gymnasts where you have those powerful, strong, muscular gymnasts, and then you have your more graceful, lengthy gymnast. And I feel like she encompasses that lengthy, graceful gymnast so well, but also she has that strength that provides her the momentum to do so well in the vault. I don't know, she's like she just kind of has it all, I feel like, and I see her definitely maybe being a huge Olympic contender in the future if she does continue. In sixth was Levi Young Ruvirva from the Philippines with a total score of 49.166. She did very well on all of her events, but she did not have a score in any events of 13 and above, which kind of put her down in the final score, like on average. She had a score of 12.7 on vault, 12.8 on the uneven bars, 11.166 on balance beam, and 12.5 on floor. Although her scores were good, the opponents above her all had a score of 13 and above and something, which helped them boost their all-around score to make the top 5. In seventh place was Lim Sumin from South Korea. She did very well on vault and floor, but her uneven bars and balance beam scores hurt her all-around score. She ended with a total score of 49.099, 13.033 on vault, and 12.966 on floor, but her uneven bar score was 11.3, and her balance beam score was 11.8. In 8th place was Alexandra Shevchenko from Uzbekistan. She was super close to the 7th place finish, and her all-around score was 48.965, so literally so close. Her floor exercise was 12.833, her balance beam was 11.56, her uneven bars was 11.7, and her vault was 12.866. She did really well on the vault and floor, just like the 7th place finisher. She's probably one of my favorites to watch as well. I feel like her name is very much known globally, and she does have a very good record. So, I enjoyed watching her a lot. In 9th and 10th, the all-around scores were so close. It's actually insane. Jo Kyung-yeon Byul from North Korea finished in 9th. Her all-around score was 48.665. Park Na-young from South Korea finished in 10th, and her all-around score was 48.632. So just like looking at the scores very specifically, 665 was the 9th and 632 was the 10th. So literally so close. For the vault, Byul had a score of 13.633, which was in the top scores for vault. Her uneven bars was 11.666. Her balance beam score was 10.933, and her floor exercise had a score of 12.433. Although she did very well on vault, her balance beam score was lacking a bit. And then Na-young had a score of 12.933 on vault, 10.366 on uneven bars, 12.8 on balance beam, and 12.533 on floor. So she didn't particularly dominate one event, but she did well across events other than the balance beam. If she had improved on her uneven bar score. If she had improved on her uneven bar score, she definitely would have been a close chance to finish in 9th. So those are all the scores and places of the top 10 finishers. Before we move on to our next segment, I wanted to talk about Osenka Chusovitina. She had been in 9 Olympic Games before. She is 48 years old and looks absolutely amazing, as you can see in this picture. She is from Uzbekistan, and she was hoping to compete in the Paris Olympics, but that dream of hers was crushed by an injury. We all expected her to be competing in the Asian Championships, but she posted about her injury on Thursday to let everyone know the sad news that she will not be able to compete in the Olympics or in the Championships. Chusovitina made her Olympic debut in 1992 in Barcelona as the member of the unified team. The delegation was made up of former Soviet republics, aside from the Baltic states of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, which had elected to compete as one unit after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. She won a gold medal in the team all-around competition that year, and and has competed in every Summer Games since then. Uzbekistana's second and only other medal came in 2008 in Beijing in the vault. She competed as a German athlete, the third different team she had represented at the Games on that occasion, and subsequently in London in 2012 after obtaining citizenship. She switched back to Uzbekistan for the 2016 and 2020 Olympics. Uzbekistan won the Uzbekistan all-around title in April, and what it was a boost to her Olympic hopes at the time. Here is what she wrote on social media specifically, and I quote this: "My dear friends, fans, and everyone who loves gymnastics, unfortunately, I have some sad news for you. Yesterday, while training on the podium of the Asian Championships, which is taking place in Tashkent and is a qualifying event for the Olympic Games in Paris, I was injured during the floor exercise. I will not be able to take part, and I'm very upset as I have been preparing for this competition for a long time. I started doing all around and I wanted to perform in our country in front of our fans. But unfortunately, tomorrow you will not see me among the participants. I would like to express my gratitude to all of you, but you can come and support our girls. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow." It is really upsetting news, but at least she had the opportunity to compete in many Olympics in the past and had done very well there. I'm not sure if she is planning on competing in the next Olympics, but honestly, I don't think she will. But then again, she has been training for so long, and gymnastics is her life, so we will see. So we are now going to move on to the next segment where we talk about the Prefontaine Classic recap in Eugene, Oregon that took place this weekend. Before we get into that, we are going to be taking a short break, so I will see you guys very soon.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello guys, welcome back to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about the results from the Asian Gymnastics Championships, and we're now going to move on to our first segment where we talk about the Prefontaine Classic recap in Eugene, Oregon. So this competition is part of the Diamond League, and it was held on Saturday. I've talked about the Diamond League meet before, but I never really explained how it worked, and it can be kind of confusing, to be honest, since there's a lot to it. So since being introduced in 2010, the Diamond League has been providing elite track and field athletes the opportunity to compete against the best of the best while earning prestigious titles, prize money, and global attention. In order to become one of the league's premier competitors and really cash in, however, athletes must commit themselves to an invitation-only 15 event schedule and perform well on a near-weekly basis from April through September. At each of the 14 one-day events, athletes compete in 16 disciplines, with the top performers across the season qualifying for the final event. At the first 14 meets, the top 8 finishers in each discipline are awarded points. The winner gets 8 points, the runner-up receives 7 points, third place takes 6 points, and so on, with the number 8 finisher taking 1 point. After 14 events, accumulated points are tallied. Based on total points, the top 6 field athletes, top 8 performers in the 100 to 800 meter events, and the top 10 from the 1500 meters and long distance events qualify for the season-ending championship event, which is, the 15th meet. At the final event, which takes place over 2 days, the Uber Elite Field of the Year's top performers compete for 32 Diamond League titles, 1 man and 1 woman in each of the 16 disciplines. Along with a diamond trophy for each grand champion, the titleists also take home $30,000 and a wild card for the World Athletics Championships. So here are the other meets that are coming up. May 30th in Norway, June 2nd in Sweden, July 7th in Paris, July 12th in Monaco, July 20th in London, August 22nd in Switzerland, August 25th in Poland, August 30th in Rome, September 5th in Zurich, and September 13th to the 14th in Belgium. So let's talk about May 25th's meet. A huge record took place at this meet. It was super, super exciting. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the scores right here. Okay, so Beatrice Chebet became the first woman to run the 10K in under 29 minutes, as she set a new world record with a time of 28 minutes and 54.14 seconds. The previous record holder, Ledison Bet Giddy, ran the 10K in 29 minutes and 1.03 seconds in 2021. Chebet is from Kenya, and she really made headlines with this huge accomplishment. Since we already talked about the 10K, let's talk about who placed second and third. Gudaf Sige from Ethiopia placed second with a time of 29 minutes. My brain just paused for a minute. That was so weird. With a time of 29 minutes and 5.92 seconds. And then Lillian Kasa Rengaruk, also from Kenya, placed third with a time of 29 minutes and 26.89 seconds. They all had a biggish gap in between them, so it was clear who the winners were. And when I say biggish gap, I don't mean it's a huge gap, but I mean, it's so difficult to talk about gaps in between certain events, because when it's sprinting, a little split millisecond will actually be a pretty big gap, things like that. So it's just hard to explain all that, but there was very much clear winners in this event. We're also going to be talking about the 100 meter, 5K, 100 meter hurdles, 800 meter, and 3,000 meter steeplechase event. And then for the field portion, we're going to talk about the discus throw and the pole vault. Starting with the 100 meters, because I'm really excited to talk about this one. One of my favorite runners placed first. Sha'Carri Richardson, oh my gosh, I was about to say Sharika Jackson. That would be crazy. Sha'Carri Richardson from the US finished first with a time at 10.83 seconds. Julian Alfred from St. Lucia followed her in second at 10.93 seconds. Then at third was Dina Asher-Smith from Great Britain with a time of 10.98 seconds. And then also from Great Britain was Darrow Nita in fourth at exactly 11 seconds. And then at fifth place was US runner Melissa Jefferson at 11.02 seconds. Twanisha Terry and Brittany Brown from the US did pretty good, placing in seventh and ninth place. So, I mean, there was very much close competition in this event for sure. In the 5K, runners from Ethiopia dominated the top five. It was pretty much insane. They literally covered all top five positions. Sigi Gabrielis, I'm so sorry guys, I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Sigi Gabe El Silama, Igayute, Freewenu Hailu, Anatis Mibratu, and Burke Hailom finished in the top five. Their times were, and in order of the places, 14 minutes and 18.76 seconds, 14 minutes and 18.92 seconds, 14 minutes and 20.61 seconds, 14 minutes and 22.76 seconds, 14 minutes and 23.71 seconds. I am so sorry. I am looking at this picture, and that fifth place position right there, that is the sixth place time of the person that got sixth place. But the fifth place time of Burke Halem was 23.71 seconds. So I'm sorry for that incorrect representation on the screen there. Okay, so now let's talk about the 100 meter hurdles. I love watching this event because it is so insane to me how these runners can run that fast, and then on top of it, they have to jump over the hurdles. It's so satisfying to watch. Also, sometimes makes me scared for them, because if you hit your ankle on those hurdles, it hurts so bad, and you're going at that speed. So just think about all that power you have. Anyway, in first place was Serena Sambo Mayella from France at 12.52 seconds. In second was Jasmine Camacho Quinn from Puerto Rico at 12.54 seconds. And the third place was Tonia Marshall at 12.55 seconds. And literally look at that difference between second and third. That is insane. At fourth was Devin Charlton from the Bahamas at 12.63 seconds, and in fifth was a tie of Alicia Johnson from the US and Danielle Williams from Jamaica at 12.65 seconds. I am a bit surprised that Danielle Williams didn't place higher. Fifth is still super amazing, don't get me wrong, but she is a two-time world champion Olympian, so I would have thought she would have been the top three. I feel like we've all heard her name before. Even if you're not a big track and field fan, you probably have heard Danielle Williams before. Now, let's talk about the 800 meter event. This kind of seems random, but this is also one of my favorite events to watch because it's 2 laps, so it's considered long distance, but it isn't that long of a race. I don't know, it's just interesting. You have to have that like perfect mix of sprinting abilities and long distance running abilities. In first at the meet was Keely Hodgkinson from Great Britain with a time of 1 minute and 55.78 seconds. And then in second, super close, was Mary Mura from Kenya at 1 minute and 56.71 seconds. And third was Gemma Riki from Great Britain at 1 minute and 57.45 seconds. At fourth was Nia Atkins from the US at 1 minute and 57.98 seconds. She was literally right behind the third place spot also, which is so insane how close these competitions can get in a long distance. That is super duper close. And fifth was Halima Nakaya from Uganda with a time of 1 minute and 58.18 seconds. It kind of is surprising how close the times can get. It's very difficult to decipher who exactly is in what position sometimes when times can get that close. I don't know. Whenever I'm watching track in general, my mouth is always dropped to the floor because the athletes are so fast. Like, they look like they're sprinting when they're doing long distance races, which is insane to me. Also, a little funny story, when I was looking at these times, I did not see the 1 minute on them first before I saw them, so I literally was like, wait, the top 5 people did the 800 2 laps around the track less than a minute. I was like, that's no way, no shot. Anyway, random story, but it makes sense that it was less than 2 minutes, not less than 1 minute. Anyway, moving on to the 3000 steeplechase. Wow. This is also one of my favorite events to watch because it is so different from literally any other event. I'm just going to mention the top 3 finishers here. Peruth Shamutai from Uganda placed first, clocking a time at 8 minutes and 55.09 seconds. Beatrice Chepkoech from Kenya. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I cannot pronounce words sometimes. Placed second with a time of 8 minutes and 56.51 seconds. And then third was Faith Sherotich, also from Kenya, at 9 minutes and 4.4945 seconds. Big gap there. I'm a huge fan of Beatrice Chepkoech. That is why I kind of wanted to mention this event. She won gold medals in the 29 World Championships and 2018 African Championships, and silver medal at the 2023 World Championships. So I've been watching her for quite a while, and she always has been that competitor that is so fierce and impressive to watch. She just keeps getting better, and I feel like she just always gets better and better, and I'm excited to see her in the next meet. Now, let's talk about the field events. Let's start with the discus throw. Valerie Allman placed first in the distance of 63.36 meters. Yime Perez from Cuba was literally right behind her at 63.25 meters. There was a pretty big gap between first and second to third place. Jorinda van Klinken from the Netherlands placed third with 64.88 meters. And then the fourth place finisher was very, very close at 64.69 meters. And that was Sandra Elkashevich from Croatia. At fifth, there was a bit of a gap, and Christian Pudenz from Germany stood that position with 62.24 meters. Sometimes the discus can be super close competition, and then sometimes I feel like there are a lot of gaps in between places. This meet was particularly interesting because there were some gaps and there was some close competition, and of course when you have first and second being close competition, it's more interesting to watch. The last event we're going to talk about is the pole vault. The pole vault is such a unique event. For a pole vault, you need that insane mix of speed, strength, explosiveness, body awareness, gymnastics, and that fearless mindset. And to have all those skills is just absolutely insane. At first was Emily Grew from the US, which was not a surprise to me. She has always been dominating at pole vault. I feel like she reached 4.63 meters. Second place, there was a tie. Katie Moon, also from the US, and Robayais Peinado from Venezuela tied at 4.53 meters. And third, there was another tie at 4.43 meters. Gabriella Leon from the US and Bridget Williams, also from the US, finished in third. And fourth was another tie between Anika Newell from Canada and Rachel Baxter from the US at 4.28 meters. There was a lot of US competitors in the pole vault event, but they did pretty well overall, even though a lot of the places ended in ties, but that is just what happens in a lot of the field events, especially pole vault. So we're now going to move on to our next segment, which is the one that you do not want to miss. I am super excited. We're going to be talking about the results from the CrossFit Semifinals in the North American West region. Before we get into that, we are going to be taking a short break, so I will see you guys very soon. Hello guys, welcome back to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. This is our last segment today. I'm very excited. Thank you guys for staying tuned to our last segment. We just got done talking about the Women's Track and Field Prefontaine Classic recap, and we're now going to go into the North American West region CrossFit Semifinals results, recap, everything you need to know from the competition. So the results from the Asia and Europe semifinals had already taken place, and we did talk about that in our other podcast. If you're interested in hearing about how those went, I recommend you check out the video from Thursday, May 21st. I also made some predictions on Friday, May 24th about who is going to place and qualify for the CrossFit Games in the North American West and Oceania regions. So if you are interested in seeing if I'm right and made some pretty decent predictions, I recommend you go check out that video. So without further ado, let's talk about the semifinals in the North American West, and tomorrow's video, we'll be talking about the Oceania region. So if you're interested in that, you should very much join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so let's just get started. So only the top 8 athletes qualify to the CrossFit Games from the North America West region. So I predicted Alex Gazin was going to come out on top, but I was wrong. She came out in second, so not too far out, but I did not even include the first place person and the people that I really thought were going to qualify for the games. So that's really disappointing on me. Whoops. Anyway, the first place person was Abigail Dommett. She's always been a strong competitor, and she won second in the quarterfinals, so yes, it makes sense that she placed first in the semifinals. For event 1, Dommett did good. She finished in 4th. Event 1 was particularly harder in this region because the competitors had to go up and down the stairs, climbing involved, so just keep that in mind. Dommett's final time in event 1 was 24 minutes and 44.20 seconds. Caitlin Bernardin placed first in this event, which is great for her, but also kind of sucks because she didn't even finish in the top 15. In the second event, Dommett finished 6th with a time of 13 minutes and 25.45 seconds. Ariel Lowen finished first in this event, but we will get into her later because she qualified for the games. Then in the third event, Dommett finished in 5th place with a time of 11 minutes and 23.78 seconds. Alex Gazin placed first in this event, but we're going to talk about her next, obviously. In event 4 and 5, she placed 9th. Her event 4 time was 9 minutes and 6.17 seconds, and her event 5 time was 6 minutes and 34.65 seconds. Olivia Kerstetter placed first in both of these events, but because she did not really dominate any other events, she was not able to qualify for the games. I really did think she was going to be one of the qualifiers. It seems she might have gotten unlucky, but still it is a huge accomplishment that she finished first in 2 events, regardless. In the last event, Dommett finished in 3rd place with a time of 3 minutes and 25.52 seconds. Alex Gazin also finished first in this event. Anyway, so we just brought up her name. Let's now talk about who placed second, and that would be Alex Gazin. So she placed first in event 3 and 6. Her event 3 time was 10 minutes and 27.71 seconds, and her event 6 time was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. She placed third in the second event with a time of 12 minutes and 52.74 seconds, and sixth in the fourth event with a time of 8 minutes and 45.23 seconds. But her first and fifth event is what kind of messed her up a bit. She placed 11th in the first event with a time of 25 minutes and 44.63 seconds, and 23rd in the fifth event with a time of 8 minutes and 9.95 seconds. If she had done better in these two events, she definitely would have been in first place, but the running I think got to her, and adding that climbing on the first event definitely probably challenged her a bit more than expected. Gazin won the semifinals last year and has been 10th in quarterfinals worldwide. Her coach says she will be the fittest person on earth someday, and I totally see that. She was 5th in the games last year, so I think she's going to be a really fierce competitor this year too in the games. But also she has some big competition with Laura Harvath, who is currently the fittest person on earth. In third place was Ariel Lowen. I've heard people pronounce it both ways, and I'm like now confused, but Ariel, we're gonna call her Ariel Lowen. She was third in the games last year, and a lot of people are saying that the first place position in the games this year is really going to be up to her and Gazin. I don't know. I see that happening for sure. Like I said earlier, she finished in first in the second event with a time of 11 minutes and 41.68 seconds. So, I mean, she's a fierce competitor, obviously. She did very well in the semifinals. She also did well in the quarterfinals. Also did amazing last year. I don't know. I think she's definitely going to be up there for sure. She also finished in second in the fourth event with a time of 8 minutes and 32.16 seconds. Her third and fifth event was not her best, where she placed 14th and 16th respectively. She had a time of 12 minutes and 28.52 seconds in the third event and 7 minutes and 3.94 seconds in the fifth event. In event 1, she placed 8th with a time of 25 minutes and 27.56 seconds, and in the last event, she placed 9th with a time of 4 minutes and 6.91 seconds. Her first and second place position really put her up there for sure. And fourth was Hattie Canyo, who I didn't even talk about in my predictions like at all. In the beginning of the first day, she was in first place, so she was really impressing everybody from the beginning of the semifinals. She placed third in the first event with a time of 24 minutes and 37.84 seconds, seventh in the second event with a time of 13 minutes and 25.60 seconds, fourth in the third event with a time of 11 minutes and 23.45 seconds, eighth in the fourth event with a time of 9 minutes and 3 seconds, fifth in the fifth event with a time of 5 minutes and 47.76 seconds, and 23rd in the sixth event with a time of 4 minutes and 49.91 seconds. She has not gotten much attention, obviously, so she's kind of slipping through the cracks. She's going to be a standout competitor in the games because she has been so shocking with her placements. It seems she has been doing some rigorous training that she's probably and hopefully going to do well in the games. And fifth was Emily Rolfe, who I had a lot of confidence in was going to make it to the games. She placed second in the first and third event with a time of 24 minutes and 15.58 seconds and 11 minutes and 11.92 seconds. In the fourth event, she also stood out at fifth place with a time of 8 minutes and 42.36 seconds. In the sixth event, she did pretty well, finishing in seventh with a time of 3 minutes and 58.51 seconds. And then in the second event, it was pretty decent for her at 13th place with a time of 14 minutes and 8.60 seconds. But she placed 29th in the fifth event, which is why she was not in the top 3, but still being in the top 5 is really impressive, and she qualified for the games, and that's what matters the most, really. She clocked a time of 9 minutes and 26.44 seconds in the fifth event. She was a strong candidate to win first place in the first event with her ability to combine running with lifting, but she got second, which is still very good. If there are workouts in the games that combine running with lifting, I think she's going to be a fierce competitor in those events. And sixth was Danny Spiegel, who I also had a lot of confidence was going to make it to the CrossFit Games. Last year, she failed to qualify for the games, and we saw her express some criticism of CrossFit on a podcast. So I think she got super hungry this year, which really helped her in qualifying. She did not have great placements in some of the events, I will say. In the first event, she placed 28th with a time of 28 minutes and 9.19 seconds. In the second event, she placed 10th with a time of 13 minutes and 54.17 seconds. In the third event, she placed 13th with a time of 12 minutes and 18.75 seconds. However, her fourth, fifth, and sixth event went pretty well. She placed 7th in the fourth event with a time of 8 minutes and 46.67 seconds. In the fifth event, she placed third with a time of 5 minutes and 10.39 seconds. And lastly, in the sixth event, she placed fifth with a time of 3 minutes and 43.70 seconds. In seventh place was Bethany Flores, which, not a shocker there. She won the West Coast Classic in 2021. Her highest achievement in the games was Her highest achievement in the games was 8th place in 2019, and she has been working very hard since. She's probably been very hungry. Flores has very similar placings in all events pretty much. In the first event, she placed 14th with a time of 26 minutes and 9.66 seconds. 11th in the second event with a time of 13 minutes and 55.29 seconds. 6th in the third event with a time of 11 minutes and 27.82 seconds. 4th in the fourth event with a time of 8 minutes and 40.04 seconds. 19th in the fifth event with a time of 7 minutes and 28.57 seconds. And lastly, 11th in the sixth event with a time of 4 minutes and 8.76 seconds. In 8th place, also no shocker here, was Kyra Milligan. She has always been pretty known in CrossFit and has done very well in the past. I had high hopes for her, and I'm happy to see that she's going to the games this year. Here are her placements. 18th in the first event with a time of 26 minutes and 46.84 seconds. 8th in the second event at 13 minutes and 35.01 seconds. 7th in the third event at 11 minutes and 46.08 seconds. 18th in the fourth event at 9 minutes and 25.63 seconds. 6th in the fourth event at 5 minutes and 51.94 seconds. And 10th in the sixth event at 4 minutes and 7.15 seconds. She did very well across the board. Her event 1 definitely could have improved, but as you saw, it was a bit shocking what placements everyone that qualified for the top 8 got in the first event. But I do think that was because there was increased difficulties in this event 1 in this North American West region because of the extra, climbing and stairs and all that. So you have to take that into consideration. Okay, so that concludes our show for today. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you guys once again, and have a wonderful day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.